on, guys? This is DJ Clan Smasher, and what I'm bringing you today is going to be a Queen Walk Witch Slap. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to show you two attacks, and these are by Little Lisa. So Lisa is going to be showing you pretty much how to do this attack. So I asked her how she does this attack, just to kind of give me some pointers, that way I can give you guys this information. So pretty much what she had written for me was that these are the things that she mainly looks for. So one of the things is the A queen. So the way she does it is a little differently. First, I'm gonna go ahead and start off by kind of explaining how she goes about it. So it's gonna be a queen walk on one side and then witch slap on the other side, and then after that it's gonna be kind of like the core with the golem, a few witches, and then the boulders. And so that's pretty much what the attack looks like. So one of the key things to look for is the queen walk must stay on the outside, so you don't want the queen to join the kill squad. So that's one of the main things, and a lot of people have a hard time thinking about that, because they usually think that the queen has to go on the inside. So in this attack, guys, you don't want the queen to go to the inside. And then the other thing to consider is, can you safely walk one side with at most 3-point defenses targeting the queen? Since there's only going to be 3 healers on the queen, you want to make sure that you limit the amount of defenses that are hitting the queen, since she's going to be vulnerable. So that's one of the key things to look for as well when it comes to this attack. The other thing is, do you need to use a couple of wizards to help funnel to make sure that she heads the right way? So that's going to be the third thing that you want to look for. So for instance, in this case, if you want to walk with the queen, there's a lot of trash buildings on the outside, right? So there's a higher chance of the queen walking the opposite side. So what you're going to do is you're going to place a few wizards, make sure that the queen is taking some hits, then after that place the wizards, so that the wizards take care of the structures that would create the queen to walk the wrong direction. So you want to make sure that you create that funnel, making sure that you take care of those buildings that's going to make the queen walk the wrong way. So that is one of the most important things to do. So the other thing to also look for, so step number 4, is the opposite side that we're going to be walking with when it comes to the witches. So can you keep the healers alive? And what that means is, for instance, if we were to start the witch slap portion of it, I guess you could say, on this side, and then the witch slap portion is walking down to this direction, that means that the witches are going to be going here. They're going to kill that, they're going to kill this, they're going to kill that air defense, but this air defense is well protected. So what does that mean? That means that when the witches keep walking this direction, the healers are going to start dragging, and guess what? They are going to be under fire with that air defense. You're only going to have 2 healers at that point. So it's important to start on the side that you are going to keep the healers alive, because if you're not going to keep the healers alive, you are wasting 28 spots that you could have used for something else. So that's another thing to keep in mind. The other thing is, number 5, if you are able to get both expos down with the kill squad, what that means is, once you go in there with the golem and the boulders and a few witches, you want to make sure that you're able to take care of the 2 expos when it comes to having enough jumps and things like that. So if you can do that, then you're pretty much set. So the other thing is, you want to walk where the queen can get the air defense but keep the healers safe. So what does that mean? So it's kind of like the same as a witch part. So for instance, with this air defense, she might be able to reach that. It might be a little sketch, but it's one of those things where the queen, if she keeps walking because she might be distracted, the healers are going to start dragging, and that air defense is going to target the healers. So that's one of the things that you want to kind of keep in mind when it comes to this attack. So that's always very important to look at. So pretty much, so the way Lisa does is she'll start the walk a little further in and use a wizard or 2 to funnel to stop her from going in if the healers are at risk. So for instance, right here, you wouldn't want to start the queen all the way to this side, because then they might have a chance to drag. They might completely avoid that air defense, and then the queen will keep walking, and then the healers will be at risk. So instead of starting your queen all the way over here with the healers, you might start her over here, place the healers closer to this section right here, like around 230 or so. That way they're away from the air defenses, and when the queen and the healers start dragging, they're not going to drag to where the air defense radius is going to be at. So that's one of the key things. Or the same thing with the witches. When you start them, it's going to be the same as the healers. You want to make sure that they don't get picked off. So those are the main things that Lisa will do when it comes to these attacks. And ideally, the most she'll come under is 2-point defenses, just because you're gonna have the queen walking one side and then the witches on the other, and the core is gonna be also taking some hits. So you don't really have to watch out for the 3-point defenses as much, but it's definitely something to keep in mind. So let's go ahead and just dive right into the attack. That way you guys can see it in action. Now that you guys pretty much heard me rant. So anyways, guys, so the queen was started here at this 2 o'clock mark, and as you can see, the witches on this side were started right here, so they weren't started all the way in the corner like how you normally would. So that's one of the things to keep in mind. So as you can see, these Teslas all came out. The queen started getting a little weak, so that's why Lisa threw in a witch just to kind of take in some heat. Unfortunately, that witch died pretty quickly. So Lisa did have to use the queen ability at this point because that Tesla farm kind of messed things up a little bit. So now Lisa did use a few wizards to kind of create that funnel, making sure that the queen kind of stays on the outside. So as you can see, the queen is finally walking the right direction. She's starting to go up. She tries to get in a little bit here at this point, but places a nice poison spell for the troops. And then as you can see, the witches over here on the bottom section are still walking up. So the witches are very well protected because they still have a healer that's going to keep them alive. And as you can see, both of the expos were taken care of by the kill squad. So that's what Lisa means by making sure that you take care of that those expos, because the expos targeting the queen are definitely going to kill the queen with a few single point defenses, because the expos are one of the stronger defenses in the game, especially with the queen. She is very weak to the expo. So anyways, guys, that healer at the very bottom finally died, unfortunately, but Lisa pretty much has this attack secured because she was able to get through that core. It was a little rough at first, but because she had the healers that kept the queen alive, even though that Tesla farm came out, she was able to power through. Had to make a few adjustments, but for the most part, that's what the attack is gonna look like, guys. And she did have to use the queen ability from the get-go. Usually, you can swag the attack sometimes, because she doesn't really deal with too many things, but that Tesla farm was kind of, like a freak out kind of moment. And this was a fresh hit, guys, so didn't know where any of the traps were. And Lisa's one of those hard hitters, and usually hits at the very beginning of war. So pretty much picks a few bases based on the 5 key things that I told you, which she looks for, and then just goes for it, fresh hits, guys, and usually gets 6-pack almost every single war. So it's definitely one of those attacks that really works very well. So as you can see, guys, the queen starts over here at the 6 o'clock mark, and then the witch slap starts at the 3 o'clock mark. And then as you can see, the queen is going to walk up because there's not too many things over here, and then uses this wizard right here. Very important. That wizard is going to get rid of that structure that would have created the queen from walking from the 6 o'clock mark to the 3 o'clock mark. So because that wizard took care of that structure, the queen is going to start walking to the right direction, which is the flank, because you don't want her to join your kill squad. So that's the most important thing. So now the king, the golem, and the bowlers are going to go straight to the middle now that this funnel has been created. And the double poison, well, one of the poisons is placed on the enemy CC, and then saves the other poison in case there's any skeletons, or for the king in this case, because the king is very strong against the queen. So because the queen doesn't have that many healers, it's very important to poison the king, especially if you know that the queen is going to be the one to deal with the king. So now the poison was used against the king, and pretty much just not going to be any issues at this point. As you can see, the golem is still standing very strong. The witches are still going with the witch slap on the top section, and the healers are not going to be targeted because picked the right base when it came to this attack. As you can see, the healer barely got targeted at this point, but at this point, when it comes to the attack itself, this attack is pretty much game over. So it is a solid attack, guys. Definitely a go-to attack if you're not 100% sure what to do. Just look for those 5 things that Lisa had mentioned, and your attack will definitely be way more successful. It's one of those attacks that has a real high percentage hit rate. Lisa usually does this kind of attack all the time, so that's the reason why I had asked her to kind of give me a quick synopsis as far as what she looks for in the base. So thanks again for tuning in, guys. This is DJ Clan Smasher, and I'll see you guys next time. And don't forget to keep calm and clash on.